As Fred Krueger once said, I've been away for far too long. So here we are, about a month later, and we return to the marvelous misadventures of the powerful and beloved B9 robot and his meatbag jailers. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, Lost in Space has returned, and we begin with a two-part special called The Keeper, where a mysterious scientist who calls himself the Keeper and who wields a staff who might have been the inspiration for the alien in Power Rangers Dino Charge, I'm not sure. But either way, this guy is taking specimens from various worlds to study on his pretzel-shaped spaceship. Seriously, it looks like a pretzel with legs. Unfortunately, he lets his inner Jared Fogle out when he decides he wants Will and Penny to be two of his specimens. And despite their parents and Judy and Don volunteering to go in their stead, he insists it be Penny and Will. Luckily, thanks to Dr. Smith's bumbling, the creatures are released from captivity and run amok, including several costume monsters that we've seen before, and one we've never seen before, which takes us to part 2, where this giant Lovecraftian spider thing first accosts the Keeper, and then accosts the chariot, and it only gets driven off with grenades. Ultimately, when Maureen helps the Keeper back to his feet after the creature injured him severely, he decides to be a little more civilized and stop viewing the humans as animals, because that's what he considered them at first. Yeah, he's that kind of alien. But he leaves a parting gift to the Robinsons, Dr. Smith, in one of those cages he has, for them to laugh at. Finishing the episode. The next episode involves a character which I think would make Patchy the Pirate say, dude, tone it down a little. This guy is a self-proclaimed Robin Hood and space pirate with what looks to be a very powerful blaster, but as it turns out, it's more of a mind-reading device to predict probable events that a person's going to do, whether they be good or bad. And he has a psychic robot parrot. Furthermore, he's from Earth. He was picked up in the time period around the Little Bighorn Massacre. And when they tell him the date, and the fact that it's 1998 by their reckoning, he reckons that thanks to the aliens who picked him up and put him in a sort of cryosleep, he's around 140. Yeah. Unfortunately, his ship is too small to carry the Robinsons home, but if he comes across anyone who might be of assistance to them, he'll send them to the Robinsons. And for a while, he sort of persuaded Will to betray his family. Not a full-on Stockholm Syndrome, but Will sort of fantasizes about being a pirate. Mainly because of the stories of this character. Turns out he was just a petty thief and a town nuisance, and being abducted by aliens was the best thing that happened to him. Overall, not the most interesting adventure, although it does pick up when the owner of that device he's holding comes to claim it, and it's a giant alien blob. Luckily, the creature picks it up with no trouble, and everything worked out in the end. The next adventure involves alleged ghosts that Dr. Smith is trying to contact. Turns out it was a monster that was woken up by dynamiting the wrong area, because of Smith, of course. And it's basically a smaller, slimier version of the Cyclops that accosted them early in the series. And not only is it allergic to sunlight, it possibly, thanks to the swamp in which it lives, can turn invisible, as Will was accidentally turned invisible briefly. And funny thing is, while the monster does wreck up the place a bit and beat the living daylights out of Smith, Don, and Mr. Robinson, it then just sort of goes away and nothing is resolved. Which kind of was how it was in the 60s. Stuff just fixed itself. Now, the last adventure of this particular cluster is important. 2 well-known sci-fi robots finally come face to face. Yes, it's the mighty B9 versus Robbie the Robot, although in this story he's called a robotoid. And he doesn't work for any humans. He works for some sort of werewolf-looking dude who wants to take the Robinsons for scientific study. Again. And Robbie's been upgraded to have a blaster in his lower torso. And it's far superior to the robot's claw zappers. Basically, Robbie tricks everyone into believing he should stick around and the robot should get the duck out of Fodge. And for a while, the robot does sulk. He tried to warn everyone that there was a danger in reactivating Robbie. I'm just going to call him Robbie because he's known as Robbie. But no one listened to him, and it's only until after the robot leaves to sulk and Will starts to get suspicious of Robbie that he finally tips his hand. He's disabled the weapons and shields of the Jupiter 2 crew, and they would have been toast had it not been for the robot, who is running on low power at this point. Feigning loyalty to Robbie as one robot to another, before unleashing a smokescreen to get behind Robbie and permanently disable him. I was going to say fry him, but he is more like disabled. Now, we don't see what happens to what's left of Robbie at the end of the show, but my guess is he's scrap metal. And that's it for this particular cluster of Lost in Space episodes. When next we meet, judging by the lineup of the next disc, things are going to get really freaky. Until then, this is Mr. J signing out and reminding you, just because these old shows are cheesy and cheap doesn't mean they lack value. See you out there.